What is going on, everybody? My name is Northy, and today we are doing the Teamcoach Round 11 review in a bit of a somber mood. If you can tell, this is the first time that I have started off a review in a good month and a half on the actual screen rather than on the regular homepage that I have, my regular browser homepage. And it's because we didn't win this week. We are not a winner this week in any of the game modes. I do know why. A few things here and there can explain that. However, it is unfortunate because I was hoping things would somehow find its way into my lap, but it's all good. We're all right. We will keep it moving. But nonetheless, let's take a look at how we did. We start off with our star powers. This was what we went with. It was the same as the previous week. Few disappointments here and there. Now, Luke Parker definitely was not. He managed to crack 100 as I imagined he would. Just ridiculously consistent Luke Parker at the moment. Shea Bolton was a little disappointing. He's been playing so well as of late. To only get 46 was just surprising, out of nowhere. Noah Anderson is starting to flatten out. He's getting around 60 to 70 points on average now, which is not good when you've got double points. But at his best as a midfielder, he can rack up 100. It's just a shame he couldn't do it this time around. Marcus Bontempelli, the straight 75. Again, not a really, really good performance from him. Only getting 150 from him. Only getting, I believe, 140, a little under, from Noah Anderson. So between those, not even 300. Pretty disappointing, but Josh Kelly remained consistent. He remains the only one I'm confident putting in every single week. Awesome stuff to see. I love having Josh Kelly in there at the moment. Yeah, again, 112, the 30 disposals, marks and tackles are always on point with that man. It was just everyone else. It was Anderson, Bontempelli, and Bolton that let us down. Parker, I can't really. However, if I could take it all back, I'd probably put Parker in as my double points and then someone else in. But sometimes you can't have everything you want. And you can tell from a few little things I've seen here, there's going to be a few interesting results in top team. However, we checked the ladder and we've managed to get 60th. We went 30 times 2, and it's put us in number 60, in place 60. We keep our 5th rank, which is great, but Big Potato, he is 4 points behind right now. We are that close from losing our spot. A bit more of a lead against Burgers. Some really interesting names now coming through, but we gotta find ourselves a prize card next week. Bod, again, getting a prize card, staying consistent, keeps his number 1 spot. Big Potato, where was he? He had himself 688. So he got a few more points than me. He got about 29 more points than I did, which brings him really, really close. And obviously, being ranked 60, we cannot afford to have too many performances like this, 659. We got to keep pushing it. We got to keep doing our best to get even higher. But we stick in the top 5, thankfully. However, it's not as great as, should I say, for our top 4. Obviously, we saw Bontempelli. He had the 75. Really disappointing. A few interesting results. Dusty was pretty good. Rory Lobb, I have thought about using him in my top 18. Not my top 4 though, so I definitely wouldn't have gotten him there. Himmelberg was a really, really interesting one to see reach the top 100. But nonetheless, he is in there. Toby Green did himself pretty well. Lance Franklin kicked a bunch of goals that put him up decently high. But Bontempelli was nowhere near the top. It was honestly a tough week for 4 weeks. It was a very, very tough week. Nothing that you could really, get a gauge on. Jared Witts, though, for my ruckman, not the greatest choice. Team English has come back. Riley O'Brien with 145. That is ridiculous. He had a ridiculous amount of hitouts. I believe it was against Geelong. So a very, very interesting game to get 145 points in as a ruckman. But then again, Riley O'Brien can have games like that. He had his fair share of marks. He doubled his season average in disposals. That'll do it for you. But Riley O'Brien, just mad game. That is unreal. English is back and doing his thing. So he's getting consistent 100-point performances. Average is 105, so a lot of people will be looking to try and bring him back. Of course, Max Gawn goes back to 100 points now. The minute I take him out, yeah, now we'll do 100. Jared Witts, though, giving me only 80, about his average. No marks, which let me down a lot. Even 1 mark would have been enough. Literally his average would have been enough to get him to pretty much 90 points. It's disappointing when you go and make the change to try and, predict it happening and then you get this. It's not great. It's not what you're hoping for. But Josh Kelly, again, remains my consistent one. There were players that were better than him. but nonetheless, a really, really good performance from him. James Sicily we had in there. Again, 111, just amazing stuff from him. Tom Stewart, holy, that is a crazy game. 16 marks, 40 disposals, 9 1%ers. That is a ridiculous... I swear, if you had Tom Stewart in your top 4, bang, you're the only dude, or anyone who had Tom Stewart in their top 4, the only people who had a chance at winning top 4. If you had anyone else, no shot. It had to be Tom Stewart. If you had anyone else, wouldn't have been great. But the good thing is, I did have Tom Stewart and Mark Blicavs in my backline in my top 18, so that helps me out a lot there. Just unfortunate with the back situation for top 4. But we go to the ladder. Rank 156. We are now rank 7 for the top 4 game mode. I can't remember. I think that means we've gone up. But the scary thing is, a dude named Macastars here got 474. I can guarantee you everyone here had Tom Stewart. That's the way they want it. Tom Stewart brought everyone to the victory line. It was a very interesting week. Very, very interesting week. Again, my back wasn't bad. My mid wasn't bad. Wits could have been better, and so could have Bontempelli. Bontempelli would have probably been really hard to predict, though. If I had gone Stewart and Gawn, that's my biggest thing, because Gawn would have been my other pick. That would have upped my thing by 20, put me at 401, and then Sicily going to Stewart, I would have put me up, I think, 47 points. So 47 plus the 401 would have put me at 448. So I would have just been out, so I wouldn't have counted. But nonetheless, that is a really, really tough way to go with just one person having a ridiculous week. But top 18, like I said, we had Blicavs and we had Stewart. Add into that Sicily as well. That's 3 backmen with 100 points. Doesn't happen often, but I know exactly where it all went wrong, and it's really disappointing. We go to Jack Crisp. Again, he didn't have a bad game. 93 points. That is nothing to be angry at. Jack Sinclair and Bradley Hill, 2 backmen up against North Melbourne, both got 100. Don't ask me how that makes sense. I don't think it does, but here we are. The Richmond boys let me down. I thought I was avoiding this. I thought I was avoiding it by picking both of them. Short with 68. And we also go down to Vloston, wherever he is, 71. I don't know what it was. Like, both of them have usually consistently close performances to 100 points. Neither of them got close this time. Like, I thought I was avoiding this. And I put Short in for Sinclair. I would have got an extra 30 points, or around extra 30, maybe even 40 points from Sinclair if I just kept him, which is really frustrating. Really, really frustrating to see, because both of these guys at their best are 100-point scorers, but neither of them brought it, and it was really surprising. Either way, we go to the midfield now. A few things that annoyed me. One, my change was to bring out Neil for Dunkley. No change. Literally no change. The problem being is that Neil also was the #1 rank. Dunkley was #1 as well with 126, so I'm glad I put him in there. But it wasn't for anything. It was for Lockie Neal, so we didn't actually make or lose any points. Obviously, Josh Kelly, he's staying in for as long as I can, but then Cripps, Oliver, Brayshaw, giving me pretty average performances for Ruckman, which is not what I need. Then we go to the forward line. Forward line was not that good this week, just all over the board. However, a fair few changes I think we could have made. Dusty, probably my best one. Bontempelli and Norton both playing pretty similar. The one change that I made at the last second was Jordan Dugowie out for Norton. I saw a comment, I think by CJG, talking about it, and I told myself, yeah, probably not going to keep Dugowie. I don't trust it. Dugowie actually got a couple more points, I think. So if we go down to Norton... Oh no, Dugowie got 4 less, so it didn't mean too much, but Norton still had the better performance. Then we go to the likes of Max King against North Melbourne, kicked 3 goals. I don't get it. He was barely that effective. Although 3 goals is nothing to scoff at, it was just a very surprising game for a forward that really could have just taken it apart. Like, just very surprised. Max King with only 3. 4 marks as well. Like, how little did they need to hit him up? Very strange. Just the complete opposite I expected from St Kilda this week. I thought that their backline was going to be, not needed as much, and their forward line would shine. No, in fact, it was the complete opposite. But the biggest disappointment, Bailey Smith got pulled out with a late illness, I believe. I believe it was mentioned closer to the game that he wasn't going to be playing. I don't think that was before the game, or before the weekend's round had started. Maybe it was and I just didn't see it, but he did not play. And my hope at the time was that a lot of people didn't know that he wasn't playing. So realistically, I'm trying to think of someone I may have put in, and the only one I can think of is Goey. Add an extra 70 and the 40 from the back line. That gives us about 110. We go to here, 160, 1640 would have put us just outside, which does suck, but it would have put us over 1600. So we are now at rank 9, nearly out of the top 10 now for the top 18 game mode. We don't want to start losing too many positions. We want to have another strong week. We want to get ourselves a prize card somewhere, and it's unfortunate when you have weeks like this where small little changes were the things that let you down. So I think we're going to have a week of knuckling down, making sure we make like decisions that we're confident with, because this is a little disappointing. It was a little disappointing to see a 96 ranked game from some changes that we thought would work, and they just didn't. I think Lockie Neal, again, if we could have put him in there, if I could have changed anything, it definitely would have been putting Lockie Neal, or keeping him, sorry. The idea of putting Josh Dunkley in, I think that was a good decision. Not just obviously in hindsight, but in the meantime, as they were coming up against West Coast, he gets involved. He does a lot more. He gets a lot more tackles and marks. You can see that. That's just ridiculous for tackles and marks. That's super helpful. The 25 disposals and a few goals, I think, as well helped him too. So really good pick. Probably just would have switched out Brayshaw, even though I don't think he was our... Oh no, he would have been our worst. Yeah, I would have switched out Brayshaw and we would have gotten a lot more from him. So again, 3 changes we could have made. Bailey Smith for Degoe, Short for Sinclair, or Vlosten for Sinclair, and as well as that, putting Lockie Neal in for Brayshaw. That would have given us an extra 50. 3 changes there, and that would have put us in the top 10. It's really frustrating when you can make those believable changes and it just doesn't work out. You don't get a redo. It all just kind of sulks and you feel horrible about it. But nonetheless, this is what our profile is looking like after the round. We were, I believe, 5, 8, and 5. Now we're 7, 9, and 5. So star power stays the same. Top team we go up by 2, and top 4 we go up by 2, and top 18 we go up by 1, I believe. So hopefully we can make some changes next week that'll help us out. We want to stay at least in the top 10. We want to keep touch. However, we are very close to losing the top 10 spot in top 18. I'm confident that we'll get high positions throughout every single game mode now for this year, but again, you don't want to have to make the risky choices. You want to continuously stay in the hunt for it. Again, my hope was that this week people just forgot Bailey Smith wasn't playing, or got screwed over with the Bailey Smith choice and dropped from there. But I knew once the games were coming through that I think this was the week the streak ended. It does suck, but at the same time, it puts a bit of pressure off. It does put a bit of pressure off. My goal is to keep the ranks, the season ranks high now at the moment, because we have a load of prize cards. We'll get them as they come, but we have a load of prize cards right now. We'll be okay. We'll be absolutely fine. There will probably be a minor change here next week, so keep a lookout for that. But nonetheless, I'm really keen to see what we can do. Nonetheless, let's check out the the tips. Sorry, I was going to say the tops. No, we want the tips. Now, this is really interesting. We've got the bye week, so it's going to be interesting to see what teams are going to be sent out next week. I completely forgot about that, so we'll have to make some changes here and there to fix that up. But we got to our score last week. Yet to get a perfect round so far. We got a 7 out of 9. So we'll go through the obvious ones. Doggies beating Eagles. We got that pretty well. Saints beating North. That was also pretty expected. I think Brisbane to beat GWS was quite expected, and so was Geelong versus Adelaide. GWS, it's just the second year straight, I think, that I've mentioned. The game really comes down to how they play, because at their best, they can beat really good teams, and at their worst, they can look a bit flat. So GWS taking the L there, unfortunately. But the good games and the really surprising games, first off, the Sydney-Richmond game was so good. I love that one. The first defeat for Melbourne this year against Freo after their 2 pretty shocker weeks. It was surprising to see Fremantle get over by 40, I won't lie, but I'm happy to see it. Not because I'm hoping for a Melbourne downfall, more just because I'm interested to see how Melbourne responds now. Gold Coast destroying Hawthorn up at Darwin. That was unreal. Gold Coast really making a name for themselves and giving themselves the best shot at making finals this season. I can't believe how well they're playing right now. And also Port beating Essendon. I did expect it. It was a little closer than I thought. But the big one, I think for me personally, Collingwood getting over Carlton. I think Carlton definitely have a lot to look at right now because they do see themselves as a top 4 potential finish. But do they see themselves as a premiership team? Because sure, getting yourself into the top 4 is definitely like great. It gives you the best shot at doing well in the final series. But when you get losses like this to Collingwood, although the rivalry is always big and the crowd's always massive, you really have to look at it and go, where are we getting things wrong sometimes? We want to win a premiership, we want to do well in finals. Getting to the finals should happen, but if we want to win a premiership, get into the finals, we should really start having a look at where we're going wrong in these simple games. It's interesting. It's very interesting for Carlton, but I hope they figure it out. Nonetheless, we'll go to the homepage, and that'll be it for this week's review. Obviously, things didn't go our way, but was an enjoyable week nonetheless. Let me know in the comments below how you did this week and what your plans are for next week, as next week is the big week where we have to make changes for the bye rounds. I believe for 3 weeks straight, we've got some bye rounds, so hopefully we can get some interesting teams going. Maybe even some new results. Who knows? This is where your tactical thinking brain and thinking cap really has to be screwed on tight. So if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.